Welcome to this special webinar episode that's all about what teachers love about their BenQ boards. My name is Lauren McMillan and I'm one of the trainers for BenQ. I get to work with teachers all over the country and see how they are best using the BenQ board in their classroom to enhance their instruction as well as increase student engagement. So today I'm going to share some of their favorites with you. One of the first things I hear from teachers that they love the most about the BenQ board is our Google integration. There are several elements of Google integration within our panel. I'm working on our RP04 model, which is our Google certified panel. So we have all of the Google apps directly on this board. However, I'm going to be showing you some of the Google integration within our EZWrite 6 app that teachers love the most. First of all, I want to show you our Google Slide integration. By tapping the import media icon and then tapping the Google Slide logo, you'll now see that I can access my Google account directly from EZWrite. I can now slide through and open one of my lessons that I'm working on that I want to teach with. When I select the import option, it's going to give me two choices. I can import my Google Slides as images, or I can import them as objects. Now, if you're using Google Slide just as a presentation tool, you just want students to follow along, maybe annotate, but you don't have any movable objects or any interactive elements, then bringing it in as an image is the perfect option for you. However, if your Google Slide has any kind of objects that you may want to manipulate, such as a drag and drop activity, or if you have videos or hyperlinks embedded throughout your slides presentation, then the best option is to bring it in as objects. Once you make your choice, you'll now be prompted to select which slides you would like to bring in. You can bring in all of the slides of your presentation, or you can select just a few of the slides that you may need. Now it's going to add the two slides that I selected directly into EZWrite. You can see here that I already had a video embedded in my Google Slide presentation, so it actually brought in my video directly into my EZWrite. The nice thing about YouTube embedded in EZWrite is that it will start playing the video right away. You'll notice here, no ads and none of the advertisements on the side, and it also does not play the suggested video at the end. So if you have those videos already linked or embedded in that Google Slides, it will function just so. Now, also in Google Slides, you may have some activities that require drag and drops. And typically, if you create one of those activities in Google Slides, you have to copy and paste your objects and layer them to kind of stack them in order for students to be able to manipulate and drag and drop those resources. Well, here, looking at this slide, you can see that I have three objects down here at the bottom. Currently, this is just one object, this one is just one, and my little unit is just one. I do have the option to come in here and I can now select the three dots and use my infinite clone icon, and now I have multiple copies of this. So my students can come up and they can now work with that Google Slide directly on my EZWrite whiteboard. Now, the benefit of this is truly the option for students to interact with the whiteboard. So if you have this activity and you drop it in Google Classroom or whatever LMS you're using, students can now manipulate their own copy. But if you want to have them up at the board, you're modeling these resources, you don't have to spend that time recreating everything, and you still have access to all of your tools here. So I could use my pen tool to easily come up and highlight this is what we're looking for. If I wanted students to show additional work on this slide, then I have all of those tools right there to use easily. Now, another tool that teachers love about the Google integration with the whiteboard is found in our toolbox. So there are a couple of Google resources here. You have Google Maps, Google Drive, and Google Chrome. One that's really great that teachers love is how easy it is to split your screen with Google Chrome. So again, I got there by tapping the toolbox and tapping the Chrome icon. Now, it popped open to a website that I already had up from another day. So whenever you access websites or you are on different materials through the Chrome browser, even if you log out of your board, or even if the board shuts down for the day and you come back the next day, it's going to remember those tabs that you had open. So now maybe I want my students to come up and they're going to come in here and they're going to practice using all of those resources. I need to maybe do a remodel. It's really easy for me to quickly go grab content by splitting my screen with Google Chrome. Another thing that teachers love the most is the ability to control the panel from anywhere in the room. There were a lot of years where instruction was solely teacher directed, where teachers were standing at the front of the room, whether it's lecture style or even just leading instruction from the whiteboard, whatever it may be. But now our BenQ board really allows teachers to have a more flexible learning environment. They no longer have to be the center of instruction at the board because they can control the entire panel from anywhere in the room. So I'm going to show you that by utilizing our InstaShare 2 app. The InstaShare 2 app on the board, and then I will open InstaShare 2 app. I'm going to use my iPad as an example for now. So I can cast to the board, which is great because then I can walk around the room and I can, whatever I'm doing on my iPad will show on the board. But the thing that teachers love the most about InstaShare 2 is the ability to send the board back to my device. So I'm actually going to select board to device. And now you can see that my iPad directly matches the screen. So I can come in here and I can control everything from the iPad. So I'm going to open my EZWrite lesson again. I'm going to tap through to the next slide. I'm going to go back to my home screen. And so I'm doing all of that from my iPad. I'm even going to stand behind the camera real quick to show you that I am still controlling the board from anywhere in the room. I'm going to open Google Chrome. I'm going to switch open to another tab. I'll come back over, go back to my home screen, and pop back in to my EZWrite lesson. So it's very easy for teachers to walk around the room and be the true facilitators of instruction, and this really encourages your students to come up to the panel, but you are still in full control. So if you want them to be annotating or accessing resources on the panel, but maybe you're in the back of the room, you still have all of those options. This is also great if you're having a small group lesson at your small group table, but then students are following the instructions on the board. When the instructions need to move on to the next task, you don't have to completely stop what you're doing with your small group. You can quickly just redirect from your device, and you never had to end your small group, and now students have a new task up on the board. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility and really allows you to move around the room and be that true facilitator of instruction rather than being tethered to the board or being stuck at your specific device. Now, I was using my iPad, but you can do that same thing on a tablet or on a PC, on a MacBook, whatever device you have, you can download InstaShare 2 and you'll be able to do the same thing that I just did. Another element of controlling the panel from anywhere in the room is also just using the remote control. So using the remote that comes with the board, you have all of the same buttons for things that are on the panel itself. So right here on the floating sidebar, I have my home icon that takes me back to my home screen. I can access my recent apps and resources, but I have all of those buttons on the remote as well. So if I wanted to quickly toggle between my resources, so I'm in Chrome now, I can also use the laser pointer. So you can see my red dot in the middle. The laser pointer also functions as an air mouse. So if I wanted to tab over, I can also switch between the spotlight. So if I wanted to spotlight a particular element of the page, I have that option as well. And then I can go right back to where I was before. I can click my recent apps, pop right back over to EZWrite, and I can do all of that from the remote. So a lot of teachers tell me that they'll have their little rolly teacher desk that goes around the room, and they always keep that remote handy because they control everything from here. Another thing that teachers love the most about our panel is our engagement tools. So our engagement tools can be found in a couple areas. While I'm in EZWrite 6, I'm going to show you a couple of them that can be accessed from here. So a fan favorite is our team post. Our team post will split the board into 2 or 3 segments, and now students have their own workspace. So the students can come up and they can tap on a color, and now you can have students writing at the same time. They have their own workspace. They can come in here and erase But what teachers really love about this is how easy it is for them to quickly throw a question or a word up. So if they're doing a little relay race, you can set your question on all 3 workspaces at the same time. And now students can come up to the board, they can show their work, do their problem. And then this is really nice because this tool is also turns into a floating tool. So the tool has a little icon down here above the X that looks like a little minimize option. And it will now take me back to my lesson. So if I needed to remodel how to do those math skills, then I can quickly come in here, remodel, and then when I'm ready for students to come back up and try again, I just tap on that team post and it takes me right back. If I want to set a new question, all I have to do is select the Q&A icon, and now I can select a new question, set it, and it's going to go on all 3. And now I can actually save this student work. So if I have some really good examples here, or maybe this is demonstrating 3 different ways to solve the problem, I can come over here and tap the share icon and I can send it back to the whiteboard space, or I can share it as a QR code, which is great because now students can scan it with their iPads or their Chromebooks, and now they have those working examples right there on their computer. Or I can save it as an image and drop it directly into my cloud drive so that I can share with students through our LMS. So if I share it back to the whiteboard, it's just going to take a picture of that work, and now it exists right here in the whiteboard. A few other popular engagement tools are our random spinner. So the spinner defaults to having 6 groups in the spinner, but you can tap the down arrow here and you can create your own list. So if you create a list, you can come in here and you can add up to 10 items at a time. And you can also add sounds to it, like yay, exciting, or maybe not as exciting. But the best thing about this is you can actually import your own list. So if you have a CSV somewhere and you want to import that, you can bring it in and then it will save in your list. And so now every time you log in, that list that you imported will always be there. You don't have to import it every time. So in this case, I imported my active learning methods. And so now when I spin the wheel, it's going to choose. So think, pair, share. So that's our active learning method that we're going to apply at the end of our lesson today. I can also, again, use my little floating tool icon and it's going to bring it over here. Anything that's a floating tool will stay on the screen and you can move it around so that if it gets in the way, you can kind of move it so it's not in your way. Another one that teachers really like is our random draw. So you can select random numbers to draw between a range. So maybe it's presentation day and you're picking 4 students to present their work for the day. You can select 4 random students between 1 and 30. When you random draw, it's going to populate those numbers as it randomly selects them. So now you can keep track of, oh, we're on number 14 or we're on number 32. So you have those options with your random draw tool. And then also another engaging tool that teachers really like, and in fact students really like this one as well, is our Scoreboard. So the Scoreboard, you can select teams. So maybe you're doing a review game or you have just some kind of a competition going in your classroom. You can come in here and select your teams, and then you can start the Scoreboard. You can also come in here and give them different names. So maybe it's by groups, like the red group, the blue group, and now you can just scroll up to give them points. And as the teams start winning, it will kind of highlight that team, and then you can minimize it. And so now you have that scoreboard to keep track of the score of the game or the activity that you have going on in your classroom. Now, right now, I've been showing you some of these examples in our EZWrite 6 platform, but those tools you can also access from our floating tool. So our floating tool here, it's always on your screen, and if ever it's not on the screen, you can always access it from the side menu. It's the last option here on the side menu, so you can get to it from there. When you select the floating tool, the toolbox here has all of those tools available as well. So you have the spinner, you have the random draw, the scoreboard. You can access all of those things from here. You can even get to the flashlight from here. So if you wanted to highlight something, you can zoom in and out. So earlier I showed you how to do that with the remote. You can also get to that from here, and you can switch between the flashlight and the reveal tool. So if you wanted to hide some resources and you wanted to reveal them later, you can toggle quickly between those tools as well. Another engaging tool that teachers really like is simply our pen tool as well. So your board has a stylus, or you can use your finger as the pen tool, but a lot of times I hear from teachers how much they love how easy it is to write everything on the board, but one that teachers really like is the ability to have your pen work in 2 different colors at the same time. So your pen has 2 different sides, or you might have 2 pens that have different size tips. So you can select the dual pen mode, take one side of the pen and tap one color, flip your pen around and use the other side to select a different color. And now you can write with one color, and you can turn it around and circle or annotate with another color. What's also great about this is the colors are chosen based on the size. So if I have the pen with the skinny side and I give it to one student, another student can use their finger, and now when they come and write, I can have 2 students working on the board at the same time, and I can easily distinguish who's doing what work based on the color that they selected. Another element that teachers really like with the dual pen is the ability to annotate over your content. So one of the tools that's used the most is our import media here. You can bring in media from your linked cloud drive. So I'm just going to come in here and select a document to bring in. I can bring in, let's see, this reading passage here. And so when I taught 6th grade reading, one of the things we did all the time was, we would annotate and jot our thinking as we were going. And so a lot of times my students had colored pencils, and so they were looking for, all of the sentences that support the main idea, they would underline in one color, all the character traits they would circle in another color. So you have a lot of options. So I'm just importing a document here. I only need this one slide. So I'm going to bring this in, and you'll see here it just locks my my document straight into the board. And so again, my stylus is still in 2 different colors. So I can come in here and underline, maybe I'm looking for something in particular. I'm going to find all of our characteristics here, but then I'm going to come and circle, all of the main ideas here. And so I'm able to easily annotate with those 2 different colors so my students can follow along. But also when you annotate on a document inside of EZWrite 6, you can also zoom out and those annotations stay. So I can just zoom by pinching with 2 fingers, zoom in and out, move it around, and now I still have all of this white space over here where I can annotate my thinking. And so I still have all the rest of my whiteboard space, because it's really kind of an infinite canvas here where you can zoom in, zoom out, annotate directly on your documents, move things around, and you still have room for more work. So this is just our simple pen tool. Again, you can get to all of those settings here, but the dual pen mode with the 2 different colors is definitely a fan favorite. And then another fan favorite is our BenQ store. So all of our boards have the BenQ store. And to find that, you can select the All Apps icon and look for the app that has the purple shopping bag with the star. That is our BenQ store. So the BenQ store houses some apps on there with partnerships that we have with other companies, but then we also have some of our own apps here. You'll notice here that there are some apps that are black and white, some that are in color. The ones that are black and white have not been downloaded to the board yet. The ones that are in color have. But some of these resources, like the grade level games, they're truly just interactive games that get kids up to the board, gets them excited. So for example, I'll show you like the 6th grade games here. So it really just puts the board into a learning game activity. And so now you can select your topic of the day. Maybe you're focused on synonyms and antonyms, and you can select that game. So a lot of teachers will utilize those apps and kind of turn the board into a station. So maybe students are rotating throughout the room doing different activities, and your board now becomes its own workstation. So whenever you download one of those apps from the BenQ store, they will add to your list of apps here. So you can see here's my 6th grade, here's my 3rd grade. And then we also have some partnerships here as well. So you'll notice we have things like Seesaw and Ginzy. We also have Kahoot and CurryPod and Magic School. So if you already have accounts with those platforms, you can just log in with your account. They also all have free versions as well, so you can sign up for an account and then you can easily access it. So even if you're on a panel that doesn't have all of the Google apps, or maybe you don't have the option to download apps from the Play Store, you can still pop over to the BenQ App Store and access some of those resources from here as well. So I know a lot of our fan favorites are CurryPod and Magic School because it's so easy to quickly pop open CurryPod, create an interactive lesson on the fly, and now you just turned your interactive panel into a true guided resource because now students can join in from their devices and they're just a lot more engaged, and you didn't have to spend a whole lot of time preparing anything ahead of time. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you learned a new tip or trick based on some of the favorites of what teachers are experiencing with their BenQ boards right now. Be sure to pop over to some of our other videos to check out even more resources and tips and tricks of using the BenQ boards in your classroom. See you next time.